Well, hello there. So, my name is Lisa Callahan, and I'm the founder of the Women's Emotional Eating Community Support Group here on Facebook. And I am also the creator of a wonderful program called Crush That Food Thing Self Discovery System, where I help women take a journey of self discovery so that they can identify their invisible emotional relationship with food. So, this is such a cool topic today, and we are going to be talking about stress busters, and we want to be able to know why it is that we tell ourselves that we're under stress, and because we're under stress, we must have these comfort foods. And now we're telling ourselves that the thing that we are using to comfort our stress is this food and this eating, frenzy, and yet that is actually what's keeping us very uncomfortable. So I want you to think about this whenever you say the words comfort food, or I needed to use this food because I was so stressed, or I just wanted to unwind, or I just wanted to have a good time with my friends and all that stuff. And I want you to really start to identify the wording that you're using around the foods that make you feel like garbage. And so we have to be able to think about this and be able to see where the contradictions lie. And the reason why I wanted to bring this topic to you guys today was because when you're contradicting yourself, when you're saying one thing and it's the exact opposite of how it's actually making you feel, it's literally as if you're putting a blinder on yourself. It's literally as if you're putting a big hood over your head, you're taping your eyeballs shut, and you're not able to recognize that your words that are coming out of your mouth are mismatched from number one, what you say you want, and number two, from what you actually feel. And this becomes an enormous problem because we're saying one thing, we're doing another, and that's causing us to feel a certain way about ourselves. But then what we're doing is we're ending up blaming the food for it. And truthfully, the food's doing its job. The foods that you are telling yourself are comfort foods, they are comfortable. And I'll tell you why. Because they were made by a scientist in a white lab coat, and he has little droppers in front of him, and he has taste testers. There's actually people, humans in the world, who do taste testing for companies to be able to test their products so that they can see if that particular crunch is going to cause your brain to ignite in a way that's going to light you up from the inside out. They have specific testers to make certain that these products that they're selling are the exact right sweetness, texture, crunchiness, color even. And then they slap those together with these fancy advertisements, and the fancy advertisements make you feel darn good about yourself, right? You look at a package of Doritos that says wow or pow or something amazing on it, and it lights up your mind. You feel good. You feel comfortable. That's amazing. However, if you're not going to be keen to this, and if you're not going to recognize that when you're looking at that product and when you're crunching that taste and that texture and that smell and that, wow, this is amazing. If you're not going to recognize or admit that that was created in a lab by a guy that's doing his job, he is. And if you're then going to blame the food, well, we just have a cluster F of misinformation here. And we really, it's literally as if you're trying to tame an ant pile. Think about it. It's like you're going in this direction and you're saying oh, I want to be all pure and feel good about myself. And then you're taking this other turn and you're like, oh, wow, Doritos. And then you're blaming it on the stressful day. And then you're like, oh, because it's a stressful day, I have to eat this stuff. And then you're blaming the food and it's like, oh, those Doritos were calling my name. I call BS. it's not the Doritos fault, it's not the chips fault, it's not the cake's fault, it's not the donuts fault, it's not the coffee's fault, it's not any of those things. Those things are not calling your name. And if you're telling yourself that they are, then you're lying. You're wholeheartedly, you're 1,000% lying to yourself. And so I know that this information is not new to you. However, what might be new to you is that the words that come out of your mouth, the words that are seeded in your head, the things that you think that you're telling yourself to add this value to your life, right? Because if you think about it, the word comfort, the word comfort is providing physical ease and relaxation. So remember that you're coming into this from a stressful place, right? Because this topic is called stress busters. So we're kind of busting up what you feel that you're doing to get yourself out of stress and into comfort, because you're telling yourself, you're labeling this, you're doing that. You're saying, I must have comfort food right now because I had a stressful day. So, because you're going after comfort, now comfort could come in many ways to many people. I don't know, for me, I feel like going on a hike outside is comfortable. That would be the end to a stressful day for me. And yet, for some of you, and trust me when I say this, when I say that with ease. Now, back in my day, you're right. I would have told myself the same thing. I would have needed pretzels, and I would have needed, I love those Cheetos things. And I used to buy like the healthier version of the Cheetos, the ones that were from Whole Foods, but they were still Cheetos. And I would like, especially if I was nervous about something, I would just crunch, 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 crunch. And so when I say now that like something that would be stressful to me to like release my stress would be to go on a hike, I can say that with all honesty now, and in all fairness, I do know how it feels to utilize food to try and ease my stress. However, now I do recognize what a contradiction that is, because when I was telling myself before that I was stressed about something, and then my mind would just be like, get those Cheetos or whatever, and then I was thinking that was giving me comfort, that was actually allowing me to remind myself of how not capable I am. Because the food, while I might have been telling myself that it was comfortable, was giving myself the exact opposite of that. So this is a real contradiction, and if you're not careful to look out for the contradiction, you'll just get stuck in the muck. And when that muck is inside of your head, when you're really contaminating your mind and then you're blaming outside of yourself for the choices that you're making, well, then you're really stuck in the muck, because now not only are you stuck in that mindset that's completely like oblivious to what it is that you're choosing to do when you're telling yourself, I was so stressed, I must have this food for comfort, but missing the whole entire opportunity to be able to recognize the result of that. So now what I want you to do is I want you to think of the end result. So you have the stress, you tell yourself it's comfortable, you've now eaten the food. Now you've gotten that little bit of bliss, right? Because remember, the food that you're telling yourself is comfortable is being made by a scientist. That is his job, to make the food amazing, to smell, to crunch, to look. Don't forget about the advertisements, right? So if we eliminate that whole part, like we literally are absent to it, and we're not even paying attention to the fact that those tactics are grabbing you in a way that are meant to literally pull like a blanket over your head so you're not seeing it, like you're going in blindfolded. And you don't have to do that, because there's so much information that you can actually establish for yourself, legit logical information, meaning that you can actually research this. However, you can know as much as you know, about good foods and healthful and this and that and whatever. And I know that a million of you are on Weight Watchers and these diet plans and whatever. And you could literally preach like as if it was taught on a college level, the science behind food and the nutrition and like which foods are good and bad for you. And then you can eat some of those comfort foods knowing that they're bad for you because you've read the nutrition books and all that stuff. And then you can take that information and use it to stab yourself in the heart too. So it's not that you're absent to the information. Like, I know that you know this. It's just that what I don't feel like you know is when you tell yourself you're stressed and then you tell yourself that you must have or you need this comfort food, when at the same time, that comfort food is the very same thing that's causing you to feel like comfortable is like sleeping on a bed of nails. So like think about that. Is comfortable sleeping like sleeping on a bed of nails for you? Does that feel comfortable to you? Would you want to lie down every night on a bed of nails and then tell yourself that that's comfortable? Because if you're choosing to use foods to quote unquote comfort yourself, then that's what you're choosing to do. So think about the opposite end of this. Think about the word stress. So stress, it's a Latin word. It comes from the word compression. So that is what stress literally means. It means to compact us, to compress us physically and emotionally into feeling fragility and brokenness. And so when you're telling yourself that you're looking for comfort, which remember the word comfortable means providing physical ease and relaxation, right? So you're telling yourself you're eating these comfort foods to provide yourself with physical ease and relaxation. And then you're telling yourself that you're trying to provide yourself with physical ease and relaxation because you're so stressed, because you have this compression, this stress on it. Flip that to the other side. Like, I get it that you've got this compression and it feels like you just need to release something. So you're looking for physical ease and, good feelings, right? Which is where the quote unquote comfort food comes in. Keep going now. Go to the next one because we can't just shut it off there. If we could just shut it off there and nothing else was, whatever, it would be like we're taking a dose of tasty medicine. You'd be like, okay, well, I cut my finger, I put a Band-Aid on it. It's easy, right? That's not a problem. I mean, this is good, right? I cut my finger, I put a Band-Aid on it. No problem. You have a stressful day, you stuff yourself with foods that you're telling yourself that it's like comfort. Keep going. Now what happens, right? You put the Band-Aid on the cut, you take it off 3 days later, it's healed. Cool. This isn't the same thing. And so by you telling yourself that this is what's going to Band-Aid solution the stress, and then you choose those comfort foods, what's after that? What do you feel like after that? So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write down your results. Literally go through it. A, I had a stressful day. B, I ate a pint of ice cream. C, you tell me. What's C? And then I want you to think about it. Whatever the result is, I want you to recognize that that is a subconscious goal that you are actually attracting to yourself. So instead of thinking that you're craving ice cream because you had a stressful day, think about that you're craving whatever C is for you. So plug that in, right? A is I had a stressful day. B is that I chose to eat comfort food. C is the result of that. So what's the result that you're getting from eating the comfort food, right? How is it helping you feel comfortable, which remember is providing physical ease and relaxation. Now, it's interesting because it doesn't provide you physical ease and relaxation. If anything, it provides you with more stress, right? So like more compression. So do you see how it's a contradiction? So it's as if you put that wool over your eyes, the blindfold went on, and all of a sudden you're doing this thing, and then you're ending up in the same place that you started, only now, instead of blaming your boss or your kids or your dog or your husband or your elderly parents or the traffic or the politics in the world or blah, 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 instead of blaming that, Now you're pissed off at yourself. So it's like you took the stress and you got rid of all of the stuff that caused the stress. You came up with a bright idea to have it be comfortable, and then you ended up with a result where you're now holding the finger at yourself going, why did you eat this cake? Why did you have that ice cream? What's wrong with you? Why can't you get your stuff together? Why do you look like this? How come you can't fit into your clothes, right? And so then it's like you took the sword out of the hands of the stress, and you took it and you were like, oh, let me have that sword here, and you plunged it into your own back and stabbed yourself, right? Because you're the one that made that choice. And so now we have to be able to pull this all together. And if you work with me in Crush That Food Thing Self-Discovery System, which is where I help you to be able to understand what is the root cause of the problem. Why are you craving that stress that now it's your fault? Why do you want to point the finger at yourself? Why are you blaming yourself for this? Because you came up with this great solution. It's just that that's not what worked for you, because you got a different result than what you went in for. So now that adds more stress because now you feel incapable. You feel like you can't trust yourself. You feel like you made a decision and now you screwed up. You're like, damn it, like what did I do? How did that happen? How did that happen again? What's wrong with me, right? So instead of it being someone else's fault now, it turns into your fault, which really isn't good. So let's see a couple of things that we can think about. So number one, I want you to ask yourself this question. Ask yourself, let me just rephrase. Instead of thinking about foods as being good or bad, like thinking about ice cream as being good and, ice cream as being bad and cookies as being bad and an apple and broccoli as being good. Like, I get that you know that fact, right? I understand that part. But as you're eating, could you possibly ask yourself, what is this food going to be good for? I want you to really think about this as a whole. And I don't mean just good for your body. Like, I don't mean that, because let me just say this body here is your house. It is the only place that you have to live. And you don't get an option about this. You have to live here. Period, end of story. So I don't care if like your husband's eating this or your kids are eating that or your friend, whatever she's doing. It doesn't matter. Nobody has to live inside of your body. So for whatever it's worth, if this causes you heartburn or causes you acid reflux or digestive issues or acne or hair loss or whatever it is, right? Whatever you feel like it's causing you, it's you that has to live there. So if you're under some sort of peer pressure or you feel like you just wish that everybody would, stop bringing those darn pizzas home on a Friday night or cookies into the house or whatever, like you're still the one that has to live here. However, I want to say that this house here, this isn't just like something to judge and to make yourself feel bad about, because this is just where you as a human being, like whatever your name is, say it out loud and say, I live, like I'll say, Lisa, you live in this house, right? This is my house. I'm the only one that lives here. And so when I live my life in this house, I would appreciate it if I made it the best possible house that I could live in. I know so many of you live in beautiful homes. You garden, you do crafts and stuff. I know a lot of my clients do anyways. And you take really good care of your homes, like where you live. You take great care of your cars. You take great care of your grandchildren, your children, whatever. Like everything's always like, it's good. Like you would never, ever, ever. Could you imagine walking into a store and the man in the store is like, you're like, hey, I want some paint for my walls of my home. And the man in the store said, well, this paint over here, this paint is going to make your walls shiny and bright, and you're going to feel really amazing looking at them. They smell clean and fresh, and they're going to be really, really good for the vibe in your home. It's going to be amazing for you. And you're like, yeah, no, I don't think so. I want that paint, the one that's got the big skull and crossbones on it, the one that says toxic and that's going to make me feel like, no energy. It's gonna like, it's gonna make me feel like crummy inside, And the man at the store is kind of like, well, why wouldn't you want the good stuff? And you're like, nah, you know what? I want that stuff, right? So think about it like that. Like whatever you're putting into your body is your house decorations. It's literally like what you're going to allow into your house here. So now if you think about it like that and you use the wording that I said before, which is whenever you're putting something into your mouth, into your house, right? Forget about your body. Like this is just a house. This is where you live. You with your ideas and your hopes and your dreams and your essence, who you are as a human being. And if you've forgotten that, then we need to talk further. Okay, we need to go into more conversation. So hang on. So ask yourself, what is this food going to be good for? Now you might tell me, Lisa, if I'm eating a pint of ice cream, it's not good for anything. However, I will say that it is good for something. So it might be good for your lack of self-worth. It might be good for reminding yourself that you can't trust yourself. It might be good for letting you know that you are, never going to lose the weight that you have put on throughout the years. It's good for that. And so you might say to me, well, Lisa, that's not good. And I'll say to you, but it is good. It is good because it's what you're doing. And so let's look at it from what it is. Like, what's it good for? And so you might be able to like think about it more clearly in that way, as opposed to like recognizing like, oh, this is bad for me. Like, I know this is bad for me, but I'll start on Monday. Well, what's one French fry gonna do? What's one, whatever, I don't know, pizza gonna do, whatever. And you're right. Like, that's not gonna do anything except for when you use it to feel like garbage about yourself. Like, do you see the difference? You're right. I mean, I had carrot cake on Sunday. I had carrot cake on Thursday. I had like I don't monitor my diet at all. I do, however, recognize like what is this going to be good for? So if I'm eating something and I know that that is going to be good for me to look in the mirror later and feel like garbage about myself, well, then that's what it's good for. And if I did that to myself, then that's my fault. And so I want you to be able to think about it like this, because remember that at the end of this is your results. And so think beyond just the stress and the quote unquote comfort, because there's a C and you have to be able to see that so that you can understand like, well, wait a minute, what am I going to get after this? What's this going to be good for? Is this going to be making me feel good about myself? Probably not. Is this going to make me feel happy? Probably not. And you might say to me like, well, Lisa, it'll make me feel happy in the short term. Is that what you want? Do you want to live your life in little bite-sized short term? Like if that short-term happiness is actually causing your long-term, like your whole life to feel discombobulated and disconnected and disassociated with yourself, like why would you want that? And so I want you to be able to understand that with a wider lens. Now, when I coach in my program, we figure out why you would want that. And trust me when I say that this is a process. This is 95% mindset, only 5% strategy. 95% mindset, 5% strategy. So when you're sitting there and you're having that 5% strategy, like going, oh, I'm stressed, and oh, 5%, like this thought comes to my head, I'll eat something right now. I don't care about the rest, whatever. That's when you're not using your 95% mindset. So, all right, ladies. So that is all for today. I hope that you enjoyed this topic. We have so much more to discuss about this. I could probably go on and on and on all day, but we do have to close it up now. So if any of you would like to chat with me or you want to come and spend some time with me tonight, we have a program information session at 5 o'clock, which is not too long from now. And there's a link that's attached here if you want to sign up for that. And there's also a link to book a call with me. I'm so happy to hop on the phone for free, talk to you, whatever. If we're the right fit to work together, I will invite you to work with me. And if you're not, then I will refer you to a coach that does. There's no sales ever going on here. This is your own journey. This is self-discovery. It's all about you and what you want to learn about yourself. So, all right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.